Okay. Thank you for waiting. Sorry for the delay. My name is David Reyla. I'm the hearing officer for San Francisco Public Works. Clinton Otwell is the clerk of this hearing. Excuse me, this hearing is in session. Thank you. This hearing is being recorded and a sign-in sheet is on the table on the side of the room. Please be sure to sign in for our records and so that if necessary, we can contact you in the future regarding the item that you're here for. This public hearing is being held to consider two items. Order number 201593, to consider an application from La Roca's Corner to occupy a portion of the public right-of-way with 2 tables and 8 chairs. And order number 201631, to consider the approval of tentative map number 9443, being a subdivision of Seawall Lot 337 and the Mission Rock project boundary as described. My job as the hearing officer is to gather the facts for the hearing items, listen to your testimony, and help our Director of Public Works make determinations. I will not be making any decisions today. Instead, I will forward the finding from this hearing and make my recommendation to the Director. It is him that will make the final determinations. When the determinations are made, the department will notify you of them. Therefore, if you want to be notified, again, please sign in. The hearing will proceed as follows. I will ask Public Works, Borough Street User Mapping, permitting staff, to speak first and describe how the item arrived at today's hearing. Afterwards, I will take public comments, including from those that submitted written comments to the department. Then I will allow the protester or applicant to speak and answer any of the comments. And then lastly, any agency, including Public Works, may speak again. Let's see, not too many today. Each speaker will have up to 4 minutes to speak. The clerk will monitor the time for all speakers. When you hear the first bell, it will mean the speaker has 30 seconds left to speak. A louder second bell will signal that the time is up. Comments and questions should be addressed to me only and not to the department or the protester, applicant. If you cannot finish your comments within the allotted time, you can submit a written testimony to me by the end of this hearing. If I feel that a question is warranted, I will ask that question. After all comments are completed, I will close the item. We'll now begin the hearing. May I have Public Works make his presentation, please? And may I have your first and last name?
Hello, my name is Kelly Albers, representing Public Works, Bureau of Street Use and Mapping, and I would like to give a quick overview of the tables and chairs permit application 19TC-00353 for La Roca's Corner at 957 Columbus Avenue. The applicant is requesting to occupy the public right-of-way with 2 tables and 8 chairs on Taylor Street, Monday through Sunday between the hours of 9 a.m. and 1:30 a.m. the next day. The application was received by Public Works on May 29, 2019. The plan was reviewed and determined to be in general compliance with DPW Order Number 183188. A 10-day public notification was posted on July 3rd and concluded July 13th. During the notification period, Public Works received 1 anonymous objection via 311 with concerns of increased noise levels and patrons crowding the area. Subsequent to the hearing announcement, 3 letters of support were received. I'm available if you have any questions.
Thank you. Any public comments? Protesters? Either protesting or in support? Yes, please. May I have your first and last name?
First name is Martin, last name is Coyne. I'm one of the owners with my partner, Mike Roddy. We both live within a block of the bar. We're pretty much hands-on, and we hope this will not bother anybody, and we think that it'll enhance things in general around the neighborhood. So, and we run a pretty good bar, and we haven't had any major complaints or any pleas show up lately. So, I think we're in pretty good. The public's in pretty good hands with us, taking a good look after the sidewalk.
Thank you.
Thank you.
May I have BSM again? Now I understand that this the only real concern that was shown was about noise. Is that
Yes.
correct? Nothing else?
Nothing else besides patrons crowding the area when the tables and chairs are out.
Okay. Is there any sort of guidance that's given to the permittee regarding noise levels and right of way, that kind of thing?
I believe it is condition number 16 on our tables and chairs permit that states that any noise complaints should be addressed by the police.
By the police?
It's a
Okay.
police matter.
So if a neighbor has an issue with the noise one particular night, he or she should contact the police. Is
Yeah.
that
Yes.
standard procedure? Okay. And then it is the police then they will contact the owner, I'm assuming. And then the owner is supposed to take care of the noise conditions.
Yes.
Is the owner also responsible for the noise caused by the patrons that are not directly in front of the business? Is there a certain radius, or once they leave the premises, that's not his or her responsibility?
Well, the applicant would only be permitted 48 square feet in the public right-of-way. That would be the encroachment that they're allowed. So I assume that they would only be responsible for what happens within the permitted area.
Okay. And regarding these these complaints, if there's a steady stream of complaints, if there's some kind of regular occurrence, what does BSM do, or what does Public Works do?
If we do receive a stream of complaints, the permit is revocable. So in most cases, we would send inspection out to address those complaints. And if they cannot be addressed by the permittee, then we would revoke the permit.
Okay. So this is a residential area, yes? I see Taylor Street at Columbus. There's a lot of restaurants and bars in the area as well, right? So
Yes.
a certain level of noise is already pre-existing, right? And that kind of explains why it goes so late. Is in the area is a lot of permits with the same kind of late hours.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not just one place.
Yeah, it's pretty common for applicants to apply for up until 2 a.m.
Okay, that's all the question I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other agency or public comment for this particular order? No? In that case, I will close this item and move on to the next. I'm assuming everyone else here is for the remaining order, order number 201631. Okay, great. May I have BSM or Public Works make a presentation? You part of the task force?
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, hearing officers. John Kwong, Infrastructure Task Force from Public Works. San Francisco Public Works, Bureau of Street Use and Mapping, Subdivision Division received a tentative final map number 9443 for the development of what is more commonly known as the Mission Rock development area. As part of the process, subdivision staff members routed the map to city departments, city agencies, and utility companies for their review and provide comments and conditions related to the map. After receiving all the comments and conditions, subdivision mapping staff reviewed it, compiled it, and provided a final draft of the conditions of the final map as provided. The subdivision staff is requesting the hearing officer to provide a positive recommendation for these conditions so that subdivision can forward the final map to the Board of Supervisors for action at this point. That's the first item.
Okay. Have you received any sort of complaints, concern from the public that has not been addressed?
My understanding is after we receive all these conditions, we have provided information to the public at large And this is the forum where the public can provide feedback at this point.
So the public is not notified as a matter of procedure before this hearing?
There was a mailing in this case.
Okay, that's what it's better. And we have received nothing.
No,
concerns.
that's one of the reasons we have this hearing.
Right. Okay. Yes,
The-
I'm familiar with this. It's just a little interesting that if we have no complaints or no concerns, we still conduct a hearing. You know, but such is the procedure. Okay. Well, just to make sure, is there? Oh yeah. Thank you for your time.
There is a second half to the map conditions, and
Oh, okay.
and as part of the as part of the preliminary design, the development team and the engineer have identified several elements that they are requesting an exception as a design modification exception to their design, and I will be presenting them at this point
Okay.
after consultation with the various city departments. There are also a handful of currently design modification exceptions that is still in current discussion with city agencies and staff. And once a determination can be made of a recommendation to the hearing officer, we will come back to a public hearing to address those additional design modifications. There are three major design modifications within the request, and I'll try to group them together and explain them very quickly. As part of the development team is asking to install shared public ways where the sidewalk and the street is at the same grade, at same elevation with no curb separation. As part of this, they are making two design exception requests. First is to have these shared public ways be one way only instead of two ways, and also to install paver and other non-standard materials within both the sidewalk and the roadway area. In discussion with the various city departments, we have received a positive confirmation from the SFMTA stating that converting the shared public ways to one way versus two as required under subdivision regulations is an appropriate use in this case. And within other city agencies and within Public Works itself, we've determined that the proposed pavers, as long as they satisfy the new public orders pavers requirement and the submittal of a major encroachment permit by the applicant, that it would be an appropriate installation of these pavers at this point for the shared public ways. Based upon that, staff is recommending to the hearing officer that these be approved and forwarded to the director as a design modification. That's the first major element. The second major element is there are several streets within the subdivision that are a little less narrow than what is called out on from the Better Streets plan by
A little
planning.
less narrow means they're a little wider.
A little bit more narrow, less than the
Oh, okay.
requirements.
Okay.
Okay. In many cases, it's a reduction from the standard 15 feet wide sidewalk to either 14 or 12 feet wide. However, in both cases that's being requested, the sidewalk travelway is still maintained at 6 feet as required under the Better Streets plans. Further, the reduction and the initiation of these slightly more narrow streets was clearly shown in the subdivision map as well as the plans that was reviewed by planning, and planning had no objections. As part of this, there were reductions also in proposed bulb outs from 6 feet from the required 6 feet down to 4 feet, as well as modifications to the corner curb radii. Both of these design changes were made in order to accommodate both fire department's access, emergency vehicle access, and heavy vehicle access within the subdivision itself. This was reviewed by the SFMTA, San Francisco Fire Department, and other city agencies, and determined that it was an appropriate change from the subdivision regulations. Based upon these responses from the city agencies, staff is requesting that the hearing officer recommend to the Director of Public Works that these exceptions be allowed.
This is a little different than usual.
Yes.
What are the so the streets are going to be narrower, yes, right?
Correct.
And the bulb outs are going to be smaller because now the street is narrower, right? Is that the idea?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
This all goes back to the idea of Vision Zero and also providing shorter pedestrian crossings at the crosswalks.
Right. What's the overall reason for making these existing roads smaller?
These existing roads do satisfy the minimum requirements of 40 feet based upon the subdivision regulations. It's just the roadway width itself has been narrowed,
Right.
to make it work. And what happened is when they were running the engineering template evaluations for turning movements, right turns into the development on 3rd Street and other locations, they have made a determination that if they put the full bulb out and or the standard curb radii, they would push emergency vehicles and heavy vehicles into opposing lanes of traffic, which was not appropriate. It's two-way traffic in this case.
Sorry, bear with me here. So if we maintain the 6 feet bulb out, then the fire trucks and the emergency responder will have a harder time turning this corner. Is that correct?
That is correct. They would not be able to make the turn without going more than 7 feet into the opposing lanes of traffic.
Would they be able to do so if the street roadway width was maintained at the existing width and 6 feet bulb out and existing width?
These bulb outs are specifically at the intersection in order to reduce the pedestrian crossing time. So based upon, again, the turning templates of the large vehicles and emergency vehicles, if there was the full 6 feet as required, it would narrow the roadway even further to facilitate. However, it would not allow emergency vehicles and heavy vehicles to maintain the ability to turn and stay within their own lanes or slightly encroaching into the opposing lanes of traffic. And both these streets are typically one-way traffic in both directions, one lane in each direction.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. And finally, there is a request to use high-density polyethylene, or HDPE, for the sewer and sanitary pipes by the development team, and also to reduce the minimum pipe diameter size for the mains from 12 inches to 10-inch nominal outside diameter, 10-inch for the high-density polyethylene. This request was forwarded to the San Francisco Public Utilities Commission and their staff. They have evaluated this request and has approved the use of these facilities and has provided positive confirmation to staff that we allow this as a change within the subdivision regs for this specific development. Hence, staff is asking the hearing officer to provide a positive recommendation via the Public Utilities Commission staff.
Oh, that's interesting. 10-inch outside nominal diameter, or is it inside?
Typically, when it is measured, the high-density polyethylene, when it's dimensioned, it's outside diameter.
So the inside diameter will be even smaller.
8.5 to 9 inches, if memory serves.
Interesting. All right. Thank you.
That's it. Thank you.
Do I have the applicant here? The applicant, the developer. May I ask a few questions?
I am Julian Pankos with the San Francisco Giants.
Hi.
Hi.
Do you know why their minimum of a 12-inch diameter for the sewer lines could not be kept?
We are trying to accommodate a lot of utilities in pretty narrow streets. So we try and do everything we can to maintain required clearances among the pipes. So I believe this is to accommodate. You want-
So, sorry again. Hearing Officer John Kwong from Public Works. Once again, maybe I was a little less clear in the request. The use of high-density polyethylene pipes has been reviewed previously by the SFPUC and has been approved in various major subdivision projects, including Hunters Point, Candle State Park, Treasure Island, and Yuba Buena Island.
Okay.
Given that there is somewhat of a track record related to it, the PUC is fairly comfortable in approving this. And as the developer has said, that there are multiple utilities currently in a very narrow street in order to provide the clearances to use the high-density polyethylene with a slight reduction in size, which is approved by the PUC, would provide better horizontal and vertical clearances in the design, which will facilitate future operational maintenance of these facilities.
Okay, thanks. That answered my question. I was just curious, since I'm from the hydraulic engineering department, so, just some curiosity there. I have no further questions, unless there are any public comment, either pro or against. It looks like no, that's not the case. In that case, I will close the item, and with that, the hearing. Thank you very much for participating.